thank you all for coming to this newsmaking event. What I want to talk to you about, actually, some of you were here earlier when David Klein was on the panel, and David sort of suggested the new direction of Ensequence, and that's really what we're here to talk about. So I think you may know that Ensequence has actually been making television interactive since 2000. And we have been at this now for 13 years, and the advantage of doing anything for 13 years is you are really steeped in it, you are really deep in it, you really understand it, you have all the relationships necessary to actually make it happen. And as you see over the last 13 years, we've worked with virtually every one of the major brands in programming, virtually every one of the major brands in traditional distribution and in smart TVs. And as a consequence of that, we understand them better than anybody else, and we have the relationships that you need to make things happen. Okay, so here's what David talked about, and here's what we're really here to talk about today. We have launched two new products in the marketplace. One is called AdConneqt Plus, and the other is called Promotions Plus. You see on the bottom of the page a product called Ratings Plus, which has been in the marketplace for some time, so I'm not here today to really speak about that specifically. But let me tell you what AdConneqt Plus and Promotions Plus are. So AdConneqt Plus is the combination of our technology platform, the distribution reach of all traditional distributors, plus smart TVs, and then over time, all over the top devices, plus the ability to sell media to bring interactive capability to network 30-second spots. And the advantage of interactive capability on network 30-second spots is, as you all know, to take the extraordinary branding power of television, which is why every advertiser buys television, the extraordinary reach of television, and to add to it the rich digital metrics that everybody gets online, the qualified leads that everybody gets online, and the very significant accountable return on investment that everybody gets online. So we have just announced the fact that we have launched AdConneqt. At the end of this session, I'll talk to you about some of the specifics that we're ready to announce, and we are going to be actually launching it in the marketplace first quarter of next year. The second product is an ad product, but it's specifically related to network promotional spots. And the idea here, and by the way, we're going to show you examples of both of these. The idea here is that every network, as you know, spends millions and millions and millions of dollars a year on their own promotions, which they run in their advertising inventory. And we have a mechanism to take those promotions and make them way more powerful by adding the ability for a viewer to click on that spot and automatically record a show that they're interested in on their DVR, or to automatically get a reminder on their television set sometime almost immediately before that show begins. So with that said, let me show you what these products look like. So this is a conventional ad product. This is an Apple ad. It's an offer of a coupon to get 10% off your next Apple purchase, and it prompts you to add your phone number, which you do on your remote, which is sitting right next to you. As soon as you're complete, as soon as the number's complete, you submit for a coupon, and it tells you that you've submitted it and that you're about to receive a text message that will confirm your submission. So there it is on your phone. Thank you for participating. Your 10% Apple coupon code is now available to you to use. So it's a very straightforward mechanism to take a branding ad and to add a very specific connectability to it that adds a lot of value to the advertiser and to the end user, to the viewer. Okay, so that's that. Now I'll show you what the promotional spot is. Do we have volume? No, there's no volume. Okay, so this is a promotional spot for the Spike Video Game Awards, and coming up on that spot is an opportunity, as I said, for the customer to click on their remote and automatically have that show or that series of shows record it on their DVR, which is what the record button allows them to do, or to hit a reminder. And the programmer, by the way, can set exactly the timing of that reminder, but in this particular instance, the reminder comes up on the viewer's television 1 minute before the Video Game Awards, and automatically tells that viewer when and where the show is, whatever they're watching on their TV. Okay. So here's where we are from a short-term rollout perspective on AdConneqt Plus and Promotions Plus. From a strategy point of view, by the way, what we want to do is we want to launch with a distributor of every type. And what I mean by every type is a cable TV distributor, a satellite TV distributor, a telco distributor, and a smart TV distributor. And the reason to do that is to show to the industry that this capability is truly cross-platform. And by cross-platform, I mean cross-platform on all traditional distributors and set-top boxes, and cross-platform by bridging the technology from the traditional distribution technology to the future technology, which is what smart TVs represent. We also want to very specifically launch with an independent programming network, a mid-sized group of networks, and a large group of networks. And the reason for that, particularly the small independents, is to also show to the industry that as a programmer, you can do this without a lot of resource, that it is super easy to do, it's expense-free, it's operations-free, and to the extent that we can show that by launching a very small network, we can prove to the industry that you can just sit back and make this happen if you're a programming network. And then, of course, we'll launch with several advertisers when we start. And this is all, as I said, projected for the first quarter of next year. When we announced AdConneqt Plus, we announced that we would actually start to talk about deals with specific programmers and specific distributors later on. We talked primarily about announcing them in the first quarter, but we do have 3 announcements to make today. And we're actually going to phase in these announcements as we actually conclude deals with programmers and distributors. So we're absolutely delighted to tell you that we have a signed deal to participate in this program with AMC Networks, which is the mid-sized programming group that we talked about. We're delighted to tell you that we have a signed deal with Reels Networks, which is the independent that we talked about. And again, the idea of the independent is that virtually anybody, no matter their size, their resources, the amount of money they have, can make this happen on their network. And we are also really delighted to tell you that we just signed a deal with Samsung. And this capability, the AdConneqt Plus capability and the Promotions Plus capability, will be launching on Samsung with those 2 networks, by the way, in the next several weeks. So this is very beginning. We're deeply engaged with distributors in the group that we talked about earlier. We're deeply engaged with network groups in the group that we talked about earlier. Discussions are advancing very favorably, and we will make these announcements as we're in a position to do that. So that's all I have to say from a formal presentation point of view, and would love to answer any questions that you might have.
When are they planning to deploy?
So we are planning to deploy first quarter, Tracy, and we're going to start with Samsung, AMC Networks, and Reels in the next several weeks. So we're really pumped. It's really happening. Thank you. Yes, sir.
What will the distribution be when you launch?
Well, when we launch with Samsung, the distribution is relatively limited because it's Samsung's connected smart TVs. But we're projecting at the end of the first year, we should be in the 30 to 45 million sub range. Yes, sir.
What's the business model?
So the business model actually is that we are there to make money for every participant in the chain. So if you're a programmer, you get some of the revenue that's coming in. If you're a distributor, you get some of the revenue that's coming in. If you're an advertiser, you pay for the incremental benefit that you get from your 30-second spot. So let me just tell you one thing about the actual execution of this. One of the things that we know is that if you're the head of sales at a programming network and you're responsible for generating hundreds of millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars a year in advertising sales, this kind of sale could potentially be a distraction for you. So one of the advantages that we're offering all of the ad sales groups in the network community is the ability to support them in any way that they would like, from just kind of a more casual sales support all the way to selling this capability for them if they don't actually want to put people on the street to do that, if they don't want to disrupt their ad sales force, if it's too complicated to sell for them because they're always with TV buyers rather than other buyers that might be the ones that are buying this. So, and it's also probably worth pointing out that what we're offering is an upgrade to a spot that's already been sold. We're not adding inventory to the mix in this. So if Nike buys a spot on ESPN, or if Apple buys a spot on ESPN like you saw, we're just adding this capability for Apple to offer this discount coupon and allow Apple to interact with the viewer base that's watching ESPN. So there's an upsell. The revenue that comes from that upsell, as I said, gets split then between the distributor and the programming network, all of whom are making this possible. And then, of course, we keep a piece of that for the technology platform that we provide, for the scale, for the distribution scale that we provide, and for the media sales group that we're going to put into the marketplace, making these sales happen. Yeah.
So do you think that they're looking at this more as a value from a dollar standpoint based on a comparison with television 30-second spot sales, or are they looking at it at a CPM basis as a digital play in the digital tech platform?
You're talking about the advertiser?
Yeah, the ad sales folks or the brands that are starting to look at it. How are they thinking about it? Are they thinking about it as value for TV? So because TV at CPM level is super high, right?
Yeah.
Are they looking at it more as technology play and CPM more along the line with internet, advertising CPMs, video, which is high, but et cetera, maybe potentially.
I'll talk about each of the constituents in this ecosystem. Yeah. So first is the advertiser agency. Second is the network, and third is the distributor. So the advertiser is looking for, in our minds, the perfect matchup between the branding power that they have on television today, which they have, the reach that they have on television today, which they have, and all of the benefits that they have on digital today, but not on television, right? So the benefits of digital today are rich metrics, qualified leads, better ROI, and what we're doing is bringing those benefits to the branding power and to the reach of television. So it's sort of like the perfect storm for the advertising community. Okay, that's the advertiser benefit. Network benefit, really simple. More money, right? Because they get a piece of this upsell so that the inventory that they're selling today for X dollars becomes X dollars plus whatever premium in the marketplace there is for this. So let's say it's 15%. And so if you have a very healthy, robust advertising business, that's a very compelling number. The other thing they get is they stay completely competitive in a world where advertising dollar share is moving from network television spots to the internet or to digital for all the reasons that we've described, right? So if the network can go to an advertiser and say, hey, I got the whole package, they're in a stronger position moving forward than they are today. Distributor sits back, runs the ads, and gets paid. Like, why wouldn't I do this? Okay, so that's the way the ecosystem participates and adds value. Yes, sir. So we've seen some testing of that. It actually works. We know it works. We know it works well within the time frame of a 30-second spot. We also know, by the way, that generally speaking, now I can't say that this is categorically true universally, generally speaking is most set-top boxes will allow you to store that number once you've entered it so that you can just call it back up again. So that's a good thing too.
So two questions. First is, to your Cablevision point, how do you avoid two overlays or triggers happening, one from the cable operator and one from Ensequence?
Thanks.
How do you avoid those two things colliding?
Well, the cable operator and Ensequence, it's the same overlay. We're triggering it for the cable company if it's I'll give you an example.
The question is, so Samsung Ensequence overlay and a Cablevision
Okay,
overlay.
so two. All right, so I didn't hear the Samsung. I'm sorry. I thought you said the cable operator and Ensequence.
Yeah.
But right now there's not a wonderful answer for that yet. Technologically we need to work that out and see whose overlay would display first. We need to, that's an issue. Again, when you do something like this, that's one of the issues that comes up that we really need to have a solve with. Now, from a sales perspective, based on what Peter had said, we're sharing the revenue, so it may not matter to the stakeholders whose gets shown, in terms of the dollar amounts, but in terms of the creative, we need to work that out because the money's all pooled, so it doesn't matter whose overlay shows up. The key is getting somebody to interact with it. But your question is right. Some of those logistic issues need to be worked out.
Thank you. Just want to add one thing to that. It's not a practical issue at the moment, right? Because the number of smart connected TVs is still relatively low. Yep. So from a practical point of view, we have a fair amount of time to actually sort this out from a technology point of view. And then as David said, it ultimately is going to be a set of business rules that we're going to create based on what the consumer demand is and what the ecosystem demand is.
And then the second question is a follow-up to a point you raised earlier around sharing revenue in the ecosystem and the networks seeing this as, or the advertisers and networks seeing this as an incremental cost.
The networks don't see it as an incremental cost. So it's
incremental cost to the advertiser, incremental revenue to the network, right?
That's better. Thank you.
What's the risk of a big brand that's spending hundreds of millions of dollars on TV saying, hey, we love this, we want this on our commercials, and you're going to provide it as part of the upfront, we're not paying for it?
It's one of the reasons that we actually suggest to the networks that they allow us to sell that upgrade because they can't say that to us.
I had a comment to that. So, what for the distribution, delivery, what enabling technology?
Well, that really depends on the distributor, right? So if you get into the set-top box world, in cable, generally speaking, it's EBIF, not exclusively. In Dish, it's open, and every one of the distributors has different technology, and each of the smart TV manufacturers has different technology. But the advantage of that 13 years of experience is we know them all, we're connected to all of those technologies, and what the platform does is it reaches all of those technologies, but allows the advertiser or the programmer to create once and publish across all of them. So whether it's traditional or smart TV or over the top, it all goes out with one button. That is what we provide, yes. It's the technology platform, plus the scale, plus the media sales. We're delivering the interactive element of their content, right? So if they have a 30-second spot, we're delivering the overlay that you saw in that spot. Or if they have a TV program, we're delivering the overlay that you saw. Anything else? Okay, well, thank you all for coming to listen. Really appreciate the support.